Tammy told me, Daniele Zanotti, President and CEO at United Way Greater Toronto, that she didn't need our poverty by postal code report to tell her what she had been living. Poverty deepening, sticky, and stubborn in our suburbs. After all, Tammy had lived in 8 of our priority neighborhoods by the time she was 18, mom battling meth and mental health, Tammy begging to belong, pregnant in grade 9, and no programs close to home. T.O. a world away from the Scarborough Strip Mall. A decade ago, 65% of United Way funding was in the downtown core and 35% sprinkled sparingly in the burbs. United Way brought BMO and then a few other corporate and individual donors to an empty Vic Tanny health club in a deserted Scarborough Strip Mall. Talked about connecting space, people, and places. Talked about building strong community, because research on the soul of community validates that connected neighborhoods have stronger GDP growth year over year. Communities where people know each other, volunteer, solve issues together, have lower crime rates, higher educational achievement, higher employment. And study after study shows it takes decades of sustained investments to build this social capital. A decade ago, a new philanthropy emerged in our region. Corporations, individuals, gifting big checks to neighborhoods. Because place matters. Because we are who we are with and where we are with them. So when Tammy heard 22 staccato gunshots puncture the sticky Scarborough summer sky, she dove under her kitchen with her 3 kids in tow to hide and cry. Then she rose, called 5 neighbors, joined the United Way Residents Council, started a crisis response team, a neighborhood watch. Tammy telling anyone who would listen, everything we need is right here in our neighborhood with our community. And all this at a time when our United Way research was saying we live in the income inequality capital of Canada. The GTA, no longer a region of neighborhoods, but islands segregated by income. Poverty still stubborn in the 6, but spreading into the 905, into York, and in Peel region most dramatically, where a majority of neighborhoods are now statistically low income. In this region we love, geography is increasingly destiny. And our experience a decade ago today tells us that it is this vibrancy and health of the GTA's neighborhoods that will ultimately decide our region's future. And the solutions must come in and with neighborhoods. This is why we became United Way Greater Toronto, merging Peel, Toronto, and York region, the largest funder of social services next to government, intentionally getting bigger, regionally scaling, so we could be very, very small and fiercely, fiercely local. This is why today 65% of United Way funding is now invested in suburban neighborhoods and 35% in the downtown core. This is why for the first time in our history, we have changed who and how we fund, focusing primarily on those places and populations most impacted by poverty. This is why today 7 hubs in neighborhoods across this region provide over 2 million services, extending our neighborhood work into Markham, Georgina, Malton, Cooksville, and Brampton, engaging over 200,000 residents to get involved in the neighborhood they love. Because we know every buck we invest today in this network of care represents a saving of $9 in long-term emergency health care, criminal justice, and social assistance. Today, Tammy is a full-time community manager in her neighborhood, helping shape what I will call the new table of community action. People from all sectors in place, sitting and solving in a united way. A pioneering partnership with labor, Metrolinx, construction companies, government agencies, and residents, shaping a community benefits agreements to ensure that the billions of dollars spent on transit infrastructure will deliver employment opportunities for local residents. And tonight, as we gather here, well over 400 people, youth, indigenous, racialized, are working full-time as apprentices at the Eglinton Crosstown. And that community benefits agreement is extending into the Hurontario LRT, Woodbine Casino, and West Park. And in September 2018, over a decade after they stood with us at Vic Tanny's at Scarborough to announce the first hub, BMO announced a $10 million gift over the next 5 years to drive local inclusive economies. Corporate leaders sitting together with and in communities to provide opportunities for people to work in their neighborhood. And just blocks from here, neighbors, associations, faith leaders, and donors like the Daniels Corp sat together to develop the Regent Park Social Impact Investment Fund, raising over $1 million, $1 at a time, to invest in community grassroots programs designed, decided, and delivered by residents. From an old charity model of agencies and programs to a new tale of civic muscle. From transactional drive-through big checks for community to slow, stubborn, sustained, roll up your sleeves and stay a while partnerships with community. From deficits to abundance, from silos to shared. Walrus, welcome to the new table of community action, giving and creating meaningful change that we at United Way prefer and practice, where straight from Tammy's lips, everything we need is right here in our neighborhoods, working with our communities.